Good morning, everybody. Fresh and bright and cheery on a morning where everything is frozen outside. It's fantastic. It's like a Disney cartoon, except without the annoying princess. Yay. Instead of an annoying princess, what you got is three annoying princes this morning.
I'm right.
Yeah. Oh, it's Friday. You made it to the end of another bloody week. And I don't mean bloody week because there are actually, a couple of people dead at 70. I think the death toll somewhere around the 70, 72. They found, how does this happen? They found 10 bodies inside a macro that had been looted. So the looters are so greedy, they stomp all over each other to get like washing powder and fucking pilchards. They stomp on each other and then leave the dead behind. I mean, these are the kind of people. When someone says to me, no, but we're working in a new consciousness. The world is waking up to a new kind of consciousness, and everybody's linked in our spirits, and we must all go on ayahuasca weekends together and open our minds and, come together as one because the universe, everything's interconnected. When those people say that and I'm in a good mood, I go, yeah. In a bad mood, I go, but 10 people were stomped on in the macro by other people and just left there.
While stealing. Don't forget the while stealing.
While stealing, stomped. Those people, there's no consciousness there going on there. That's just
zero.
That's the most humiliating way to die. You die as part of a mob, and no one even notices for like 3 days. Because this happened on Monday or Tuesday, and no one went, shit, I wonder where Tom is. I'm sure we had him with us in our raiding party the other night. Well, Tom, anybody heard from Tom? No.
You sound like such a Sagittarius there, Gareth.
I'm a Sagittarius, am I? No,
that's the type of thing those people might say. Yeah, they might say, "Oh, that you must be." I mean, with Mercury being in retrograde right now, that's such a Sagittarius thing to say.
Listen, there are people who are trying to explain this riot. I mean, I follow a weird bunch of people. Like I try to keep it as diverse as possible, just to be interesting. And some of the people on my Instagram, which is really the only social media I still check because they're occasionally, like interesting pictures, and you get to sort of see what your real friends are up to, and also some of the people that you're just interested and curious about. And this one girl was like, no, the whole reason this has happened, all of this can be explained by astrology. And she goes into like a chart of like South Africa. No, seriously. She's like, South Africa's here. Like some fucking supernova, millions of light years away, billions of light years away, sending light to us that's died out already, that's only reaching us now because of the speed of light being so slow and those stars being so far. That huge supernova gives a fuck about a macro being looted in Umlazi. It's okay though. I mean, if you need an explanation, then maybe that's the one you want. Maybe that's what people want. They just want a simple explanation. It's because of Zuma. It is because we are hungry. But you were hungry 3 weeks ago. Yeah, but now we are more hungry. I'm like, no. So the best thing, can I share this with you? Leigh-Ann is going to join us in a minute. But the best thing I've seen on social media in the last 48 hours, because everything happens so fast, you can only say 48 hours, right? If I say the best thing this year, you're going to say to me, oh, but there was this thing in February that was funny. So listen to this. By the way, if you don't recognize these people, Bulelo Tinta and Ben Karpinski, just, there might be someone new on this morning. Say hi, everybody.
Hi, good to see you.
Salutations.
Simon Gear, who remember you was that weather guy on ENCA, and then he ended up on SABC. Now, I think he's on 702. I don't even know what he does. But Simon Gear, he was like Dr. Doogie Howser. Do you remember Doogie Howser, that doctor that was on TV that was played by the same dude?
Neil Patrick Harris.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So he's like Barney, but when Barney was the teenage doctor, the precocious teenage doctor. So Simon Gear was like the precocious meteorologist, which is, by the way, not a difficult thing to be. It's not meteorologists. They are scientists in a way that someone who studies the patterns on leaves is a scientist. They're there and they do something, but we're not really sure how useful what they do is. So because they always get it wrong. Like the meteorologist says to you, oh, there's a cold front approaching and therefore the air is going to, this shit you learned in geography and matric, but they never can be relied on. All you want to know as an ordinary citizen is it going to be hot? Is it going to be cold? Must I wear a jacket? Must I wear shoes? That kind of thing. Anyway, Simon,
is it going to rain? Yeah. Is it going to rain?
Yeah.
Is it going to be looting? I just want to know those two things.
Right. So that he can't help you on either of those fronts. So anyway, he puts this thing up, and there's so many people that are doing this at the moment because their instinct is because they're frightened. Right. A lot of people are very frightened, and most people are not particularly well equipped to deal with any adversity whatsoever. In other words, when the world gets a little bit crazy, they start screaming, howling, setting their hair on fire, and running around with their hands up in the air like this. Right. That's what people do. So Simon Gear, who's obviously having a tough time too, tries to direct this at exactly the wrong people, the people who ultimately will save society. He goes, have you noticed how that very specific type of guy who drives a tricked out Ford Ranger is admin on your suburb security WhatsApp group and likes to message about 3 Bravos in a white Golf is having the time of his life this week? Obviously, he thinks like he's being an ally to like white liberals and to blacks by saying this. And by saying this, he's making a really interesting and complex observation about Butts who drive Ford Rangers and are out there protecting communities on the street, right? The very people who do hold communities together. He's decided this is the time to have a go at them as a meteorologist who's providing a much more important service, obviously. So this girl comes on. I just love this. Her name is Sky. And she says,
definitely a Taurus. Sky is one of those barefoot.
Don't jump the gun now. So she says,
don't trigger Valello.
If by the time of his life, you mean he hasn't slept since Saturday, he's putting his life at risk to protect your community while soy boys like you hide in your mommy's bedroom tweeting, then yes, he's having the time of his life. Go and take a testosterone supplement, weather girl. Boom.
Wow.
My favorite thing this week.
Thank you, Sky.
Yeah, thank you, Sky. I want to mate with that girl. I don't care who she is. She could look half as good as her profile picture, and I want to mate with her. I think we'd have magic children. Jesus.
Namaste to Sky, yeah.
That just made my whole year. So well done to her. Isn't that the best? I mean, really, you hear these people, like I heard one of these news anchors, I think it was Sally Burdett or, Kathy Motlatlana or whoever it was, one of them saying, but it's because of huge amounts of inequality that we've got people looting and raiding. Some of these people are so married to this bullshit ideology that the poor can't be judged by the same morals as the rich. They keep telling us how evil capitalists are and how, capitalists are just the greediest, most profit-seeking people in the world. When you see that greed in people just taking 25 tins of pilchards, nappies for children they don't have, formula, a pot plant, and 7 packs of anal lube, and you see them throwing that into their car, they go, that's not greedy, that's desperation, because, it's inequality in society. It's so unfair. So because it's a poor black person, these white liberals very often are the ones who say to you, oh, no, but you can't judge them by the same morals as you, which is so racist, fuck's sake. It's so racist. It's like, don't judge these people by the same set of rules and laws I expect to judge the capitalist by or the successful person by. And let's talk about toxic masculinity while that same toxic masculinity is standing on the corner of a street at 3 a.m, making sure the mob of raiders don't come into your house and take your microwave, Sally. Can we please just give these people a little bit of time to get the tiny bit of credit they deserve for keeping civilization together when shit hits the fan? Because who are you going to call when things get really tough? Who are you going to call? The Hollywood master's degree movie director who's going to stand on the corner worrying about the effects of the cold morning air on his latest chemical peel that he needs to have for his face so he can look nice and fresh for the movie set tomorrow? Or are you going to be calling on the guy who's the licensed firearm owner, who's got 2 dogs, who quietly goes about his business and mows his lawn on a Saturday and has 6 or 7 beers through the course of the weekend, and occasionally will shout or sing along to Bon Jovi's It's My Life? Which guy are you going to rely on when the shit hits the fan tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
I mean, go have a go at them, Simon Gear. Talk about those guys, how shit they are for society because you can't measure up. That's what it boils down to.
Or even better, Simon, why don't you go relieve them of their watch and go tell them how they must go and read certain things, or I don't know, go crochet or whatever the fuck you think it is. It's like, as always, because
your course in social anthropology while I guard this this for a little bit.
Yeah, don't worry. I've got it from here, Corbus. You go like unsharpen your knives or whatever. But this is something like us South Africans are now forced to do. Like, we have to find the positive. And what it boils down to is that, and like every time I'm on the show, I'm sorry if I repeat things, but like, it's fuck all to talk about it right now. But there is no purpose. There is no purpose.
Thank God this has all happened this week, because we haven't had to talk about coronavirus.
Yeah, but there's no purpose for those soy boys out there other than just to kind of keep spreading stupid ideology and having the look at me. That is the only purpose of a soy boy. So if you were to go, let's just say you want to go, I don't know, make Mars home, and they go, right, we want soy boys. Why? Well, we need people to say, look at me, and just have stupid ideas. I go, yeah, that's not going to help civilization. Why are we taking these fuckers? And that's exactly what's happening right now. It's like, we need more alpha males. Don't fall for this toxic masculinity bullshit. When channeled correctly, as we've always said, these are people who hold society together. Yeah, and it's just, it's so clear. Like, I would love for that to be the one takeout of all of this fuckery this week, that we can actually look at people for what their value is in society. Strong, masculine people can look after things. That's how it's been from day one, and that's how it'll be forever. And like, appreciate that. And if you're not that, don't be jealous. Maybe try be slightly more like that in your own way, because that is a strong member of society.
Bulelo, you're always going on about like how people have to have a utility in society, right? They have to be useful for something. They have to now, in a hugely sophisticated society where everybody is making art and reading poetry and all the robots are doing all the jobs, then I understand. And of course, where government just works perfectly, which it never does. In that society, I understand a whole lot of guys becoming transgender and writing books of poetry and fluffing cushions in an upholstery, an interior decorating online course and that kind of thing. I get that, right? I think that you should be allowed
self-actualization.
Sure, but pursue your dreams and be whoever you want to be, and I will support you 100%. And you can ask people to call you a she if you're a he, and you can ask people to appreciate your unique and incredible talents. But in a society where that stuff isn't yet realized, in a society where we're still trying to hold things together because they're pulling apart in various ways, and this is not true all the time, but it's true as an undercurrent, especially in a country riven by the kinds of differences that we have in South Africa. Many of these differences represent opportunity, but many of them also represent threat, right? And ultimately, we cannot, no matter how much we talk about gender equality or tolerance and diversity and all of those lovely subjects, which I hear coming up now at a time where it's not the time now to be talking about how diverse our army is or how much gender equality there is in the army. I do not want a fat lady with a weapon guarding me when there can be a fit man guarding me with a weapon in my suburb. I'm terribly sorry if that sounds awful, but that's eventually what happens. And what you're seeing around you now, and it's quite a good thing, I think, because there's been so much bullshit spoken of. And you see people going on social media about bullshit, just unnecessary crap, which is really about trying to create some attention, as Ben says, for these people themselves. You see people suddenly going, you know what? That's all good and well. But right now we've got actual problems to deal with, real problems. And there are poor people in this country and there are desperate people in this country who don't care about whether, Costa Semenya's testosterone levels at X or Y, because right now they're fucking hungry. Or tomorrow they're worried about the guy who lives next door coming to take their stuff at knife point. That's kind of, those people are really living with a different reality to those people in the media, particularly, who make these stories front page news. And I look at this and I go, just be grateful for a change, that there's still some conservative values, that there's still some morality, that there's some old school thinking that is the backbone of this country. There are good, and Bulelo, I know how you feel about religion. I feel the same way, but there's some good Christian and moral people in this country who hold civilization together in times like this, and we need them. We need them more than we think we need them.
Why is it conservative to be an alpha male? Is that where we are now as society?
These days, that is a hugely conservative point of view. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but
unbelievable.
guys, you must also realize that the word conservatism is being weaponized by this soy boy media. Conservatism stands for conserving what's right. It's not like it's not some stupid cult or whatever. It's like certain things in life work. Like if you want to build a car, it has to be on wheels. That's conservatism, essentially. So there's like, just because people have the ability to question things doesn't mean they have to be questioned the whole time. Some things just work, and that's where conservatism falls into it. So people must just get okay with that term, because they hear conservatism and suddenly it's like, oh, right-wing Trump supporter, anti-vaxxer, whatever. Like,
and you hear people like, I honestly was watching the news last night because I made a fire, and the TV room is where the fire is. So I turned on the TV. I watched SABC. I watched Newsroom Africa. I watched ENCA. There were commentators. There were very good ones, like Reverend Frank Chikane, who was on with Peter Ndoro. And, you know, Peter Ndoro in a crisis is a very calming person to listen to. He's terrific. So I watched a little bit of this. He was great, Frank Chikane. Made a lot of sense and didn't hold back on his thoughts on the Zuma family and the Zuma faction. He said these people he said we must arrest these people and put them in jail. They are destroying society. So,
yep.
You want to say something, Ben? And I'll explain what I saw.
No, totally. It just goes with what I vindicates what I was saying last time I was on the show about having no sympathy for that sack of shit in prison and all of his ilk. Because, well, let's be honest, had the undercurrent of a lot of wrongness in this country.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of people who are saying that these guys should just be taken off Twitter, and if not taken off Twitter, we should all unfollow them at very least. They're not helping anybody. They're certainly not making anything better for themselves.
But it's funny how like Twitter's kind of okay with that too. I mean, Trump was taken off Twitter. Trump didn't do much. I mean, if you read Julius Malema's tweets, like literally inciting violence, like he said, they cannot kill us all. As in, hi, unemployed person who I've kind of indoctrinated, can you please go die in the streets for some sort of purpose? That's exactly what he was saying. Yeah,
die for me. And so Frank Chikane was saying this as well last night. He said, poor people in South Africa, unemployed people in South Africa, do not let yourself be used by these people who don't care about you at all. Right now, I hope that message does reach those people, but it probably didn't, because they're not up at that time of the night watching TV. They have a much harder life than I do.
Well, they've all got TVs now, Gareth, as the jokes go. So you're on.
Yeah, you may be right. The point I was getting to is, like, you've actually got these conversations going on TV now about how, well, we've got to be really careful, because if these mobs, these vigilantes, what do they call them? These armed militias, they're using the same language that the left in America used on January the 6th to try to make it turn now. That these people who are defending their own communities, who, by the way, are white, black, colored, Indian, all of them are like men who just aren't going to let their children be fucking harassed at night by a mob, let alone have their shit stolen, let alone have them have their families murdered. These are good people. Somehow there are elements in the media and some of the commentariat that are genuinely trying to make it look like those are the people we need to worry about in society. These people who mind their own business, go about their day, never do anything that would be considered illegal. And if they do, they're certainly not out there trying to cause more illegality right now. They're trying to bring some peace and order and stability to their communities. How the hell they become the enemy? There's a mental illness going on where you think that those people are the problem instead of the people who are burning down buildings. I mean, what the hell is wrong with you? Seriously. Annette says, Gareth, you're on top form. You're killing me today. I woke up with lots of energy. Sorry. It's just one of those days. I love this. Somebody says here, my problem, I wish I hadn't bought a gun. I wish I'd bought guns, says someone here. Yeah, that's exactly right. I've been talking about this. Didn't I tell you to get a gun like 6 years ago? Not because I want you to go out and shoot people. Fucking gun-free South Africa, these people who think like that, you just clearly are not the kind of person who's ever understood what a precipice society can be on. You've always been so coddled that you think everything's always safe. Unbelievable. So
You
anyway,
know,
yes,
you know what this stems from? There's a bunch of trust fund kids who sit in Rosebank offices, right? And they all sit in meetings and talk about how black men are being marginalized because of
yes.
there's a whole lot of NGOs in Rosebank there. And
social anthropology, and and it's usually, and these people are somehow they take these degrees that no one's ever going to pay them a salary to use.
Politicians' kids and trust fund kids. That's all. That's all that's there. I've walked through those buildings.
And again, these are people who will go and be loud on social media and be so strong on social media. Like, I've got a point of view, and let's cancel this person. That person must be called out for their X, Y, and Z.
You know what this is showing me is like because those people now, it's quite hip to be on the gram and be one of the people and every single identity politic. It's like I think I've said this before. If the most interesting thing about you is your skin color, your sexual preference, I don't want to know you. If that is the most interesting thing about you, you are not useful to anybody. Don't tell me being gay or being black or being Jewish is the most interesting thing about you. You're boring. It should accentuate your core values that we call conservative for whatever reason. Just try and be a decent person. None of it is perfect. I don't want to hear about the fact that you're black and gay. I don't care. Are you trying to be a good person? And we're seeing that.
How are you useful? Useful, I think, is a word. Like, this week we discovered who in society is useful. Really, like the shit hits the fan, and you find out who's useful. Nico Kritzinger says, I love this. If any looting happens in Brackpan, the parents just unclip the kids off the chains, and the town is safe.
That is awesome. I saw something yesterday. Somebody said, no, Brackpan hasn't been looted. It's always looked like that.
And listen, can I tell you who the other heroes are at the moment? It's not just these people who brought out their ammo and helped the cops because the cops ran out of ammo, and brought their tricked out Ford Rangers, as Simon Gear puts it. It's also these amazing people in the taxi business, Santaco, who have been protecting malls, protecting people. I got this video yesterday from someone who's not Afrikaans or white about this Afrikaans tannie in like Schoemansville, which is in the northwest. Did you see that video? And she goes,
no.
I am just here at the shopping center, and she turns her phone, and this taxi guy is standing there. Now, normally in that sort of situation, a white Afrikaans woman would wind up her window and say, oh, no, thank you. No, sorry, I don't have anything for you. That kind of shit. And this guy's like, ma'am, you can shop here. We are protecting this shopping center. Everything is going to be fine. Do your shopping. Don't worry. We've got this under control. Those taxis up there on the ridge, they are looking after you. I'm like, you know what? Fucking brilliant. So there's those guys. And then there are these people who are cleaning up Durban. Have you seen how they've tidied up the CBD?
Amazing.
In the last 48 hours. Sweet Jesus. I don't think the CBD of Durban's ever looked this good. Everything has been done. The windows have been cleaned. The pavement has been scrubbed. Can we just keep all the trashy people who are usually there off the streets as well? Because obviously that's part of the problem, is that they just eat and drop the packet wherever they are. Durban's never looked this good. Sometimes you have to get to rock bottom to start going up, right?
It's so true, but like, don't you also feel like this is probably the best time to be a president of a country? You can just you don't have to pander to anyone now. You can actually just really crack the whip. But we have an amoeba as a president, which doesn't help. Like, you can take a real hard stance on criminality now. Like, you've got carte blanche to go and actually implement like hardcore measures to really cut these people down. No, he'll just sit back.
Now you could make a rule. Like, he could go to Parliament and he could say to the ANC,
everyone will support it.
He'd say to the chief whip, listen, I'm passing 10 bills this week that we've needed to pass for the last 40 years. They're going to be as follows. If you litter, you will be shot.
Yes,
no, seriously,
in the face.
And the public would support him right now, because we don't want to hear from a law professor at Wits who says, no, but hang on, when human rights, you can't shoot someone for littering, because the threat of being shot for littering is probably the only thing that would stop some people from littering. So he must pass laws about keeping the place tidy, like they have in Rwanda. He must pass laws about he must take advantage of the situation to say, if you are found with a TV in its box in the next 3 weeks and you cannot produce the documentation on the spot, we're just going to lock you in jail straight away. And and you will not, you'll be in the awaiting trial prison for at least 2 years because we've got to process some things. He must appoint 500 new judges tomorrow to be able to do small claims stuff, to be able to do theft and looting and violence and arson and deal with all of this immediately. There are enough lawyers. God damn it, do we have enough lawyers in this country?
No, there's a problem here, though.
Buildings full of them that should be appointed as interim acting judges to get the courts moving again. But you know what he's going to do? He's going to sit there and go, oh, Cyril, my people, please, let's pray for South Africa. Pray. That's what he's going to say.
Shout out Jesus. The problem is that there's a tiny little thing called Marikana on the table, and he trapped himself. Yeah, so that's how he's. Ben's 100% correct, and he's trapped himself.
Pumi did this yesterday. I'm going to do it in her stead. Check the worry in my eyes, Cyril. Get on with it. We don't care about your reputation, and we don't care about the EFF calling you a murderer for Marikana. What we need is control, and we need someone. We need strength.
If you want to be a leader, you get called names all the time. Unfortunately, that's just part of the territory. But look, I'm a big believer that we don't need more laws in life; we need less. But 100%. People love saying we live in unprecedented times. Okay, well, can we start doing some unprecedented things for fuck's sakes?
Yes.
Listen, Ben. Speaking of unprecedented, before you leave us, Drickus doing his thing last week. Are you going to be back? Are you going to be back training with him? What a freaking legend that guy! What a savage right hand in the jaw. That's
it was absolutely never in doubt. Absolutely never in doubt. I mean, the guy's got such an amazing future ahead, and he's such an incredible dude. And so he's fought twice in the UFC, and he's knocked Oaks out twice. And the two guys that he knocked out were never stopped, as in they've never been knocked out before like that. So yeah, he's going to go from strength to strength. But obviously, he's going to come back being a decent alpha male of good family standing.
Not a soy boy.
No, so he's gonna come back, and it'd be great for him just to celebrate the victory, savor the time with his friends. But no, he's probably gonna have to go and look after communities and do things that Simon Gear can't do, because that's the kind of guy we need in this country.
Damn straight.
All right,
I love it.
Have a great weekend.
I'm so pleased you and other people were directing our attention to Drickus, because we need some good news stories, and we often talk about how people take inspiration. And it's great to see someone who's been working as hard. If you've been following Ben on social media, you've been following Drickus, and you'll see all the stuff he's been doing. It's great to see a guy just excelling, being just great at what he does. It's amazing.
Exactly. All right, guys. All right, have a great weekend.
See you later.
Steal TVs. Bye.
Don't steal TVs. Good plan.
Yeah, as they say in the old country, be a hoot, don't loot. As the old saying goes.
Yes. Be a hoot, don't loot. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. We've got some, I don't know where Leigh-Ann is. We're trying to find her, but, she's probably maybe she had some wine last night. The Chardonnay was delivered by her underground dealer.
It's been an hour now. We've been trying to get a hold of her since 5:30. So the saga continues. We'll keep you posted.
I hope she's all right. That's all. All I do is worry. What are you drinking, Gareth? Slow Mag Fizzies. Yes, Carol. That's the most interesting thing. We're trying to do a show here, and you're interested in what I'm drinking. But okay.
Well, it could. Listen, also, Carol might be worried that you may be seeping into melancholy, and you've chosen the Socrates route out, and you've just, it might be hemlock. Yeah, it might be a little hemlock, and you're putting yourself you're crossing the proverbial Rubicon. Okay, so it's not. Okay,
no,
good.
So I saw this interesting story. This is really cool. Just in case you thought that there was only madness in KZN. Apparently, according to IOL, gun shops in Cape Town are out of ammo as residents fear looting will spill over into the Western Cape. At least they got guns to use the ammo with, and that's smart. I mean, I always keep a little bit of ammo. There was an ammo shortage most of last year and the year before. So if you have a gun, you got to make sure you have ammo. Otherwise, what's the point? What are you going to do? Wave it around? So, the people of Western Cape obviously just worried it's going to spill over. But I think mostly, according to what I have been gathering from not only social media but from the news media and from people I know who are in these places, mostly it seems to be calming down, and we'll hopefully go into a weekend of a lot less lawlessness. So let's see let's hope that is the situation.
No, the country of Cape Town must know one thing. We only like you in summer. You've got 3 months where we might come and loot. Other than that, you have nothing for us. You're a bunch of lazy surfers. We're good up here. But from September onwards, if we're still looting by then you're in problems.
Talk about people who are just not useful in the world. Meghan Markle is going to make an animated adventure series for Netflix. Who's sitting on the edge of their seat going, that's what I've always wanted? Who's going, you know what we need to do? We need to find a way to give Meghan Markle money in this topsy-turvy world that is riven with pandemics and violence and people losing their shit all over it. What we need is more Meghan Markle. Who do you think made that decision? Could only be those douchebags at Netflix. I suppose they've paid Harry and Meghan in advance of some kind, and now they have to find a way to recoup it, right?
No, they are Disney's dream, though, aren't they? They're that whole like Hollywood dream, because former princess vibe, and now, oh my gosh, he's got a British accent as well. Oh, unbelievable! Put them on this mixed race as well. Oh,
yeah. The difficulty I'm having understanding this is, first of all, don't give me that mixed race thing. I'm darker than Meghan Markle. All right. I've never bought that story.
Meghan Markle's,
her mother may be a black woman, and Meghan Markle's about as light as I am. And really, everybody's going on about mixed race. I mean, Barack Obama never talks about his white parent. He always talks about the black parent. Can we just stop this, please?
No, but they love that in Hollywood, is what I'm saying. People love the, oh my God, it's what the future should look like. If a black man marries a black woman, what is wrong with those people?
Why are they being so boring? And they could be so diverse, even in their marriage, right? You want to be diverse everywhere.
Phenomenal. And I just, Madiba said Rainbow Nation, and they are actually it, guys. It's so much inspiration.
Bulelo, you distracting me from my anger here. Sorry. My anger is Meghan Markle. I didn't know she was an animator. I didn't know she could draw. Did you?
Had no idea.
No, because now she is going to produce an animated adventure series for Netflix about a 12-year-old girl who is inspired by historical female figures. Who the fuck wants to watch that? I don't know a single girl who wants to watch. What are they going to make? Like a Rosa Parks cartoon? Make a mockery of Rosa Parks' actual existence by drawing her as some kind of horrible animated blancmange who sits at the back of the bus and then doesn't take people's shit? Come on, do me a favor. Meghan Markle needs to give us her interpretation of famous female figures in history. I guarantee you she's only made that move. She's only come up with that idea because they said to her, this will speak really well to the intersectional community. And we know girls need really good role models. And you're one of those role models. And she went, oh, yeah, thank you. And they said, let's make an animated series, Meghan. She went, yes, because I can't draw, so I'll produce this, whatever that means. And they said, yeah, and we can the angle is women, because the one thing we don't hear enough of from Hollywood is how great women are all the time. So let's have some more of that. I wish her the best of luck. I think it's going to be a tremendous success. And Netflix, you've got me as a viewer. That's for sure.
Here's the thing, is there are proper scientists and cool people who are sculpted societies, architecture, we've got Jane Goodall. Like I'm just using here an example. We've got Oprah. We already have people who are industry-changing titans. I want to see Jane Goodall getting a series. What's happening there with Jane Goodall? But she doesn't look like $1 million. She's not married. She's not married to an Indonesian man. So sorry, get the hell out of here.
Enough, right? Well, Mandia makes the point. When Meghan Markle was on Suits, she was hardly identifying as a woman of color. Do you remember? That wasn't a big thing. Because they wouldn't, because she was just an actress, and that's all she's ever been. Again, one of these people in society who only is useful if your society is advanced enough to accommodate an actress. Anyway, look, I do want to move on. There actually are important things going on. TK is the station manager for Alex FM, and they've been affected really badly by these riots and looting. We spoke to TK yesterday, and he was in Alex at the time. Thought we'd just check in this morning because what we've done is we've just kind of we're in the building that we're in, and there's a bit of space, and if we can help them out, we'll help them out. And Alex FM is a community radio station, and I support these guys in all their endeavors. It's hard enough to run a business. It's much harder to run a media business. It's even harder to run a community media business. And people like TK keep those machines working, and I have such respect for them. TK, it's so good to see you. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Gareth?
Good, man. Very good. First of all, what happened to you guys? Tell us the story of what went on and why you had to gather up your stuff and move Alex FM. What was happening in Alexandra Township?
Well, with the unrest that have been happening in the community of Alexandra, unfortunately, in the early hours of Tuesday morning, the station was looted. The criminal elements that were masquerading as protesters in the community, they entered our building, and then they stripped us off. They took all our broadcasting equipment to the value of 5 million. As I'm talking to you, we don't have anything. We are currently broadcasting from the same building where Cliff Central is, but we had to, seek for donations from other, colleagues in the industry so that we can just get the station back on air, because the station was looted.
I'm so pleased that you've found a place, and I'm glad that we could help in some small way. But 5 million rands worth of theft of broadcasting equipment is going to be hard to recoup, and many people don't know that community stations, most of them, they really rely on volunteers. They rely on people to donate things, because you're not making hundreds of millions of rands at a community station. It's really for the community. You would think that that these kinds of businesses would be supported in times like this, and people need your help. They need to know what's going on. They need to hear from broadcasters and from people in the community. That's their first port of call. I'm so sorry this happened to you, TK. I'm glad nobody was hurt, right? You got out of there okay. Everybody was all right.
Yeah, well, fortunately, none of our presenters, even the security personnel, were hurt. So they managed to escape way before these guys can, gain entrance to our studios. It is very sad because, like you are saying, community radio stations are playing a very important role in our society, because as I'm talking to you now, the community of Alexandra does not have a voice. Where will they hold the executive to account? Where will they engage on issues of service delivery? Where will they get opportunities in terms of the announcements that you are making daily when there are community announcements, job opportunities? They just silenced their voice. It is a very devastating period for us, but we have to forge ahead.
So what's the plan? I mean, how long are you guys going to be able to do what you're doing now, broadcasting from our premises, using other people's equipment? And listen, if you need help, I mean, obviously we're going to do everything we can. I see you're in one of our offices right now. I'd prefer to have people in the building, frankly, and it's not too far from Alex, so you guys don't have to worry about traveling for miles and miles. But there are obviously other things you need. Can people who are listening to us right now help out in any way? Is there something that we can do that we aren't already doing?
Yes, of course. We are still looking for more donations to rebuild the station. Like I said, we lost equipment to the value of 5 million, and it took us 27 years to have this kind of equipment, because you mentioned it earlier on that community radio stations will only rely on smaller donations. We are not really about generating income. We don't have mechanism to generate bigger incomes like commercial radio stations. So it took us 27 years since 94 to date to have the kind of equipment that we had. So we are running a campaign, and I'm happy because people are coming forth. There are people from all walks of life who are coming through to assist us. What I'll do, I'll share our details with your team. Maybe if you can also put it on your social media pages so that ordinary citizens of South Africa can assist us.
With pleasure, and anybody who can, I'm sure will. TK, good luck to you. We're holding thumbs for you guys, and obviously, we're all together in this, and I'm glad that you guys have got the support that you've got from telemedia there where we are, from us, from the guys at LM Radio, who are also a community station, and let's all stand together.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother. Nice to see you. There's TK, who's the station manager for Alex FM. By the way, just TK, before I let you go, what's the latest on Alex? What are things like there at the moment?
Well, fortunately enough, now the situation is calm. There's a huge contingent of police and the soldiers, but it's too little too late, because now Alex is on his knees and all the shopping centers are closed. But I'm just glad that the situation, the police were able to contain the situation, even though the response was very, 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 very reluctant. I mean, I was telling the Minister of Communication, Stella Ndabeni, when she visited our studios, that it's so disappointing that the police at the time where all these things were happening were not on site, because this could have been avoided if we had a proper plan from the security cluster in terms of containing the situation. Now they are there, they are guarding empty buildings.
Right. Well, I'm also interested because one of our people who works with us, Jane, she lives in Alex, and Jane said to me that most people in Alex, they don't buy, a week or a month of groceries in advance because they can't afford to. So they buy for that day. And
yes, of course.
If the shops aren't open that day, there's no food that night.
There's no food that night. And Alex people, they cannot be traveling to Greenstone or Sandton to buy bread.
Correct. There's not enough money to do that. You have to live from day to day. Well, TK, good luck to you guys. I'm very happy that you're safe. I'm very pleased that you managed to make it out of there. I'm sad that all that equipment has been stolen, but maybe some of it will be recovered, and maybe there are good people in the community who will help rebuild Alex. You keep strong and stay ahead of the madness. Nice to see you.
Thank you very much. Sure.
Very good. Thanks, man. Wow. It's just, again, like when the shit hits the fan, you see the good in people and you see the bad in people. And there are great people who are working hard all over this country to keep things together. Let's support them instead of trying to find ways to chip away at the good that they're doing. I see some interesting comments here.
Sorry, just before you go on, isn't it awesome? I think we were talking about earlier in the week, was that like people like TK, it's very easy. I mean, we all know somebody who's broken up with someone. They've been going out for 3 months and their life falls apart. Yeah. TK's living place is on fire, and he refused to bend. And he said, "What's the solution?" This is what I was talking about: is what will we do after this? And people like TK, again, showing you that you don't have to be Jeff Bezos to have this mentality. TK would be successful anywhere.
And these are the people who keep the world together. These are the people who keep civilization on its feet rather than on its knees. So yes, that's exactly what we started talking about at 6 o'clock this morning. And if I've been on a bit of a rant this morning, then that's why. Okay. Paul says he's so sick of zombie series and movies. Okay. Yeah. Well, are you watching the news, or are you watching actual zombie movies? Because you'd be forgiven for making the confusion arise in your head as a result of watching some of the news. You see that one? There's that one video of that guy walking down the street. He's obviously drunk out of his mind during all this. Because it's interesting. Like also the liquor stores were targeted by looters. So the Monday when they started these looting and riots exercises, a lot of these people were drinking Monday night, so they weren't very useful as looters on the Tuesday. So they kind of lost their mojo a little bit because they were drunk and hungover. Pumlani says, when it comes to Megan, Gareth can be such a mean girl. Yawn, move on already. Thought you don't care about her. Okay, Pumlani. Then I won't. It came up in the headlines. I mean, that's the only reason I brought it up. You sent that to me, that story, right, Mbulelo? I didn't say you find me a story on Meghan Markle.
Yeah, no, she's divisive. I guess. Listen, that
irritating. I don't see the point. Sun Marie says, Gareth, men have had the hero stage forever. It's our turn. All right, Sun Marie, you want it, come and get it, but you better be strong. I don't want to talk any Captain Marvel shit, please. Give me a Black Panther. Don't give me a Captain Marvel. The movie that the Marvel movie with the lowest audience ratings ever. Captain Marvel. She has all the powers, but because she's a woman, we must go and watch. She gets given all the powers.
And then she told us to sing John Lennon's song.
Is this yes, yeah, Don Lemon.
Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel, please do me a favor. She gets all the powers and she still can't get a viewer. Unreal.
Oh my God.
On yesterday's burning platform, this is from Ultra Ever Dry Africa. Morning. On yesterday's burning ass we platform, Fox Soz, Jonathan made a comment that we have an unbiased media, or we have a biased media, rather, unbiased. There is no unbiased media outlet. Should this be something you'd consider taking up? Cheers, Sean. Well, we've spoken about this ad infinitum, Sean. It's something that does come up all the time. If you still trust IOL, News 24, EWN, ENCA as your sole source of news, you're in big trouble. Those people are they're not really interested in news. They're all competing with each other for clicks, and that's how they survive. So if that's your motivation, what value does truth have in all of that? Robert Ferrero says, again, we get thugs killing the community voice. Yeah, that's the Alex story, I'm afraid. Tracy says, so many shop owners threw out oil at their shops. I saw this too. I must have received this video 4 or 5 times yesterday. People they poured oil in the shopping malls, and then these crooks come in and they slide all over the floor, and they can't actually get up. I've fallen and I can't get up. And it is funny to watch. I just don't know how effective it's going to be once they realize there's oil, and maybe they put something over it, whatever. Steal carpets and put those over the oil. Who knows? Gareth says, Gareth, I'm living in New Zealand and the riots made New Zealand news. Well, since you bring up New Zealand, I want to read an email that I got from Crystal. Crystal is someone who used to make our cakes. Remember at Cliff Central, we used to get those amazing cakes. This was one of my favorite things about our birthdays. Is Crystal was this incredible confectioner, and she'd make these beautiful cakes. She still listens to us in New Zealand, so hey, Crystal, if you're listening. But this is an example of something that I thought people might be interested in, because when South Africans, and again, I hate to be identitarian about this, but it's a lot of white South Africans are like, no, this is the final straw. Now I'm definitely moving, and I'm going to move to New Zealand because that sounds the safest. Okay, so Crystal's in New Zealand. Here's what she says. Hey guys, I'm happy to hear you and Cliff Central are all safe. I realize South Africa's in the middle of riots, but I wanted to tell you how great New Zealand is and how the rest of the world doesn't hear about it. So stand by. She goes, number 1, people ram shops. That's the new thing here. 9 and 13-year-olds ram a shop with a stolen car at 2 a.m. They steal money and cigarettes. They then flee the scene and leave the car behind. It's part of gang initiation to earn your stripes in places like Auckland. Number 2, all of our nurses in New Zealand are fleeing to Australia because the pay there is so much better, while Jacinda Ardern has put a 2-year pay freeze on nurses' salaries. Auckland alone is short of 500 nurses, with staff currently overworked. We don't even have COVID here. The truth is, our health system will never survive a COVID outbreak, and that is why our borders have remained closed for 1.5 years. Okay, are you listening to this?
Wow.
This is pretty wild stuff from Crystal. And she's not the kind of person who has any dog in the fight at trying to make New Zealand look bad. She's just moved there, so she wants to make it look good. She's being honest with us, which I've always appreciated about Crystal. Speaking of Crystal, number 3, meth. A meth addiction, he says, is a pandemic. This is New Zealand, all right? You never hear these stories in the news. New Zealand's busy reading about what carnage is going on in South Africa, and there are a whole lot of South Africans there who are going, see, that's why I moved. But here's Crystal being honest with us, and I really appreciate this, Crystal. It's not schadenfreude for me to take pleasure in what you've sent me about New Zealand, just like it's not schadenfreude for her to be sitting there going, oh, those riots, I'm so glad I moved. So here it is. She says, meth addiction is a pandemic in New Zealand. Jacinda has just given millions to the mongrel mob gang leader to run a meth rehab. Makes sense, right? This is what happens when the left takes over in your country. Gangs rule the roost here, according to Crystal. Number 4, BEE, or a version of it, is coming into play here too. You have to have a certain percentage of your business owned by Maori or Pacifica people. So again, it's like we're going to make this economy an economy of equity. So we're interested in the outcome rather than the opportunity, which never creates a good outcome. But good luck with that one, New Zealand. Number 5, crime is on the up with not enough police, so communities are forced to make community watches, just like in South Africa. Meth is a massive reason for the crime, because if someone's a meth addict, they're going to do anything they can to get money, and that includes stealing and knifing pensioners and getting whatever you can out of their pockets. She says, number 6, they've recently increased benefits here to the point that people would rather stay at home than go to work because they make more money that way.
Wow.
Again, put leftists in control. This is what you get. Number 7, the cleaning and fruit picking industry are dire. The borders have been shut, so they can't export, right? And fruit is a big part of New Zealand's economy. Migrants aren't allowed to do these jobs anymore, but Kiwis will not do these lower level jobs. Sounds familiar, right? So companies use office admin staff to go and pick fruit. Otherwise, nothing will happen. How's that?
What?
Number 8, child abuse and domestic violence is a massive issue here. With mental health, it's so high. So there's another thing that we don't hear about New Zealand. Number 9, all migrants are sitting in limbo with residency applications on hold since March 2020. It's 50,000 Rand pending visas. Sorry, 50,000 pending visas. Because she said 50K there, so I just put a Rand in front of it for some reason. 50,000 pending visas were cancelled last week to cut back on migrants entering New Zealand. But most industries are short of skilled staff. Number 10, housing and food prices continue to rise, with the possibility of buying property in the future being close to zero for most people who don't already own property in New Zealand. So that's when people say the safest place, because they think safety is a big part of being alive and being human, and it isn't. As I've said before, being safe is an anomaly in the whole of human history. She says all of this stuff as someone who's moved to New Zealand, right? So she's not an axe to grind here. She wants to make her decision look good, like most people who emigrate do. And when people think of a safe place in the world, they think of the furthest part of the world that they could possibly imagine, where nothing happens. New Zealand. 2 little islands, so far away, even Australia don't want to be associated with them. And mostly it's hunky-dory. It's the place they filmed Lord of the Rings. So it's beautiful, it's pastoral, they've got magnificent natural geography. It really is a lovely place from everything I've heard. I've got friends who live there. I've got friends who have lived there and moved to Australia. I've got friends who visited there. They all say nice things about it. But they don't tell you this stuff. So thank you, Crystal. I appreciate that email.
Nowhere's perfect.
Yeah, nowhere's perfect. So you make your own mind up. No one's going to tell you what to do. Okay, Graham says, no looting at the Bluff. They have 10-year-old hitmen surfing with Bowie knives in those parts. I love that. That's great. Ultra Ever Dry Africa's back saying, limited chat message size, obviously. You guys give unfiltered commentary, and I hope you appreciate how valued it is. Thank you. I think there's a place for you in the wider format, like newspaper, etc. We're not going to open a newspaper. Talk about a waste of money. But thank you for the idea nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks
for the sentiment.
Says, last night we collated a list of optometrists who've lost their businesses. 47 optometrists across KZN and GP, and we're still counting. Yes, sis.
47.
47 optometrists have been broken, destroyed, burnt, looted. Now, as I understand it, you can't just steal someone else's glasses. It's not going to help you. Your eyes are different to theirs, and you have to get the right glasses. Fucking looters are stupid, hey? They're so stupid. The grass is always greener on the other side, says Ruth. Thanks for that email. Crystal. Some folks overseas don't get it when I tell them South Africa is my home, says Audrey. What don't they get, Audrey? Again, not just looters are stupid. Some people are stupid.
No, I think what she's saying is when Audrey may hold a positive sentiment about
stupid. I'm like, why don't people get it when you say it's your home? What do you mean?
Yeah, or like it's great. I think what she's saying is, you know, when she says, South Africa has its problems, nowhere's perfect, and they probably go, we're in the UK, it's just unbelievable. Boris is the best, and we can walk all the time. I mean, I go and get an ice cream at 11 at night or whatever. Shout out Audrey.
Right.
I mean, I'm not patriotic. I don't believe in being patriotic, but I do love living.
Yeah. The blind literally leading the blind, says Luzon. Specsavers comment.
That's great.
Listen, Jesus, we at least we've maintained our sense of humor, right?
South Africans are the best.
And guys, never forget.
South African people, thank you so much for standing up for our father, Jacob Zuma. We love you so much.
Jacob Zuma. Jacob Zuma.
That's a big picked that up this time. I
Yes.
didn't hear that the first time when
Yeah.
Simphiwe gave us that clip. Jacob Zuma.
Yeah.
These are his daughters, and they can't say their own surname.
No, the problem is this. Let me tell you, Gareth.
Fuck.
There's a code switch you have to do from English to Zulu, and she was in between. There was a crosswire.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Jacob. Thank you for Jacob Zuma. Oh no, crosswire. Yeah, you know when you're changing a radio station and you're not on 90, you're on 98.1. Yeah, she was on the way to 98. Yeah,
Right. Very nice. Oh my God, I'm having a fun morning this morning. I hope you are too. We're going to be joined in a little while by Siv Ngesi, who we've been talking about getting on the show for ages. And Siv has been melting down on social media over all of this shit. He's got so much to say. I'm just going to switch him on and leave him for like 10 minutes.
he's electric.
I don't need to ask him questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's electric. He is an absolute lightning rod.
And then later on, we obviously got George Meany joining us for Auto Central's Power Pod. We've got no time now, but Mbulelo's also got a couple of things he wants to tell you about Cliff Central Sport, first of all. We want to talk a little bit about what's been going on in KZN, and I want to hear from people who have some different points of view, among them Siv Ngesi, including you. Let us know what your comments are on our YouTube channel. That's probably the best place you comment if you're watching us live. If you're not watching us live and you're listening to us, then you can also send us a WhatsApp to 0797482090. Kala just wants us to say, guys, please comment on our COVID infection rate, already dropped by more than 15%. Will they end level 4 so we can get out of Gauteng? You see, if it's dropped, despite, and this is where I'll be interested. Next week, we'll get the numbers for this week, right? And with all the riots and looting and everything else, we'll find out whether or not that has increased the COVID rate substantially, because that's what everybody's saying it will do. And I'm not suspicious. I don't have a dog in this fight either way. So let's see what happens. But next week, we'll have a good idea of whether or not these riots and the looting and all the activity of people going out in the street and not observing curfew because they're either protecting their community or looting it. We'll find out whether that's had an impact. If it hasn't, then can we stop with all this bullshit around lockdown, please? If it hasn't, then there is no solid argument from any quarter. I don't want to hear from a doctor. I don't want to hear from a virologist. I don't want to hear from an epidemiologist. I don't want to hear from anyone. If the numbers have somehow gone down during a week like this, then lockdown is a complete fucking joke. And then it's time for us to just open up this economy for whatever's left of the economy to try and recover. Please. That's all I want to say. So yes, Kala, good point. I don't know the numbers. If it's down 15%, they should already have opened Gauteng up last week. Alta Join says, how did the optometrists not see this coming?
South Africans are fantastic.
Oh my God. All right. Oh, that's unbelievable. What a great comment. I love it. All right. We'll be back just after 7 o'clock. CliffCentral.com. Friday morning. Good morning.
This week on Auto Central.
Last question comes from Megan, who's asked, I wanted to ask what the AMG line is in a normal Mercedes. So this would be almost like an A200 with the AMG badging.
Well, Megan, first off, we were talking about the 333i Alpina earlier on, which was the pre-shadow line kind of body styling, etc. And then Mercedes-Benz got into the AMG body styling. So AMG simply denotes a cosmetic upgrade. It doesn't have any engine upgrades. Catch Auto Central, SA's #1 motoring podcast, every Monday at 9 a.m.
one place on Cliff Central for 80s movie recommendations, obscure 80s references, 80s crushes, and it's the only place on Cliff Central with the best 80s songs you forgot how much you loved. That 80s Show, Fridays, 9 a.m. on Cliff Central. People say we're stuck in the 80s, like it's a bad thing.
That 80s shows on today. I mean, they even threw a whole lot of really cheesy 80s music into our break there. Did you hear that? It was like being in a an aerobics studio.
They'll take any advantage.
Aren't you on their show sometime?
Yes. So we recorded yesterday.
Oh,
What
nice.
fun! Oh my word! It was like I knew that I was in the right place. You know that
Okay.
feeling?
Yes, yeah. Where it doesn't feel like an effort and everything just happens beautifully. I know what you
Yeah,
mean. It's lovely.
it was lovely.
So Leigh-Ann Mole, like, what happened to you this morning?
Yeah,
I
sorry.
always worry that something terrible's happened because your life is so dramatic, you know.
No, I'm so glad that you do worry because it's people like you who'll make sure that I'm alive. But yes, no, I'm here. It was one of those mornings where you just don't hear the alarm and you fit it into your dreams. But I'm here now, here to tell the tale.
I woke up with like a burst of energy this morning. I don't know where it came from. So I think I'm going to have a very productive day. But most of this week, I've really struggled. So I know exactly what you mean. You pull yourself out of bed and you kind of hop in the shower, but you sort of half-assed. You almost want to sit down in the shower. You're so lazy. And then...
No, you've reached that point? There are chairs for that at Dischem.
I haven't, but I'm saying you almost want to. You know those mornings where you just do not have the energy? That was how I felt for 1 or 2 days this week. And I think it's because of what's going on around us, which is just insanity. And obviously I have nothing to complain about because there hasn't been any of that in my neighborhood. But I'm feeling it for everybody I know in places like KZN and other parts of Gauteng, which are much more devastatingly affected. So I'm in it. I'm like, I'm feeling the general vibe. And I think I was just tired too because I have not left my house this week. Now, Bulelo is the only member of the Cliff Central staff, apart from Rena, who's actually been to the offices in the last week. And next week, everybody's coming back because I think things are calming down substantially. By the way, Leigh-Ann, there's still a cushion someone sent. Someone who listens to the show, they sent a present to you. You must come and collect that at some point.
Oh, nice. Oh, that'll be an adventure, me driving to the studio.
Right. Do a little adventure this week. How about it?
I'd like that.
So, Imabuleleyo, why don't you tell us what's happening with Cliff Central Sport from Monday? Because there are exciting moves afoot. You sent me a video yesterday which hints at that. Tell us what's going down.
Yeah, so you'll see a massive upgrade in how we are going to be presenting things. We're finally moving into our studio, and from Monday we'll be actually we'll be coming to you from a fully fledged, coming to you in 4K if you are able to stream in 4K. But
4K U2.
4K U2 as well, so you can subscribe on Cliff Central Sport on YouTube. Otherwise, you can catch the podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
I love that you're doing this properly because the clip that you sent me shows the new set design and the quality is just amazing. And I think quality is something people wish they had more of because obviously, the internet has massive advantages. So there's a lot about the internet that we all love. But the fact that so much of the content on the internet is just really rubbishy. It's just bad quality. It's not produced with any finesse. It's not put together with actual cameras. It's just people on cell phones. And what you're doing here is a sports show that is more than sport, first of all. So the content is better. But second of all, the production is just really great. So, I mean, I'm going to be watching from Monday and let's see what's on the menu. I'm looking forward to this. Well done.
Thank you. And we're hoping to, honestly, without being glib, we want to change the way sport is consumed, certainly on this continent. And we want to compete. We're not being shy about it. Within the next 6 to 12 months, want to be competing with America because our quality is as good as anything you'll see on ESPN. It is as good as anything you'll see in terms of the quality. It's now up to us to ensure that we sharpen our tools and skills and make sure the Americans have someone to compete with, and we fully intend to be that aggressive.
Yeah, excellent. I'm so pleased to hear it. That's great. Even as a non-sports fan, I've watched a couple of your shows, and it's entertaining. Apart from being about subjects that I normally wouldn't find entertaining, the way you guys do it is right. And now with the production going up this many levels, it's just going to be great to watch. So I cannot say this enough. Get on the Cliff Central Sport, and also don't forget that 80s show today.
Yes,
which is featuring Leigh-Ann Mole at 9:00 this morning.
Oh.
So make sure you're listening live to Cliff
I
Central.
know, I'm so excited.
I'm
so excited.
A lot of 80s songs from your youth?
Well, we played, me being the morbid type, we played an 80s song that I've asked to be played at my funeral or at the after tears.
Oh, Jesus. What a depressing thought. What is the song?
Come on, Eileen.
Really? That's the song?
Yeah, that's the one. That was my first club experience. So we were talking about
terrible
song. Like Dory said, we all become pom when we sing it. Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So that 80s show today at 9.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Don't
okay, no, I won't. But what I will say is that it was loads of fun. Half an hour is what I spent on the show, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So they've invited me back for a full hour next time.
Nice. So listen, you're going to help us here because I've got so many of these videos, and I'm kind of overwhelmed by too much of it. You've decided to focus on the 3 of the looting videos. Which 3 are your favorites? Hey, everybody, it's time for another episode of America's Funniest Home Videos, Looting Edition. Here's Leigh-Ann Mole, your host.
Numero uno is the one where there are 2 cops. They're emptying the boot of a looted car, and they're chucking all the merchandise out of the boot. And there's a female cop, and she's going, I left my children at home for this shit. This shit. I left them at home for this shit.
I love it. Okay, that's beautiful.
Love that one.
Number 1. That's
she's
lovely.
like, kids, behave yourselves. Really, my kids at home are better behaved than you. Number 2 is the one where the guy has now pinned down a person, and he's asking for who sent you? Who sent you? And this guy is like singing like a bird. And he says, you're 29 and you have 2 kids, right? He says, yes. He says, do you have a grandmother? And this is an army guy, I think. And the perpetrator says, yes, I have a granny. He says, how is she going to get her medication tomorrow? There's no medicine. You've robbed your own grandmother.
Right.
How is she going to get her chronic medication?
Yeah.
I like that one. And the other one, I'm not sure if you discussed it this morning, but is with the oil.
Yes, the oil on the supermarket floors we did discuss. And it's lovely
Love
to watch
that.
people sliding around. That's really cool.
Love that.
Okay.
So those are my 3 takeaways. Firstly, don't waste my time as a mom.
Yes.
With this stupid shit. Number 2, who sent you, and what about your own grandmother that you've robbed? And number 3, oil on the floor is a looter's nightmare.
Yeah, they can't handle it. They don't know what to do. It's like they completely break down. All right, let's get to Siv Ngesi. I'm always pleased to have him on the show. Siv is one of our friends from the very beginning of CliffCentral.com, and we've known him since, I don't know, it's like almost 10 years now that we've been following his career. An amazing actor, an amazing personality, and someone who's just got tons of really interesting opinions on tons of different things. Siv is also, lately, he's also a pole dancer, it seems like a champion pole dancer, but we'll talk about that in a second. We got quite a lot to talk to him about this morning. What I first of all want to do is bring him on to talk about the incidents in the country this week. He's had quite a lot to say, and I think what he's had to say has been quite valuable. So hello, Siv Ngesi. How are you, my brother?
Great, thanks. And you?
I'm good. First of all, Cape Town seems largely to be looking at the rest of the country and making fun of us with all these riots and looting that are taking place in our cities. You guys think you're immune? You think it's still coming there? What are your feelings, and what are people saying in the community? I heard ammo has been sold out in most gun shops.
Can I tell you what I think has saved us is the taxi strikes. There's been taxi strikes here, which has stopped people from coming into town or coming into the area. But I do think we're ready, and we're like, we wish you would, because we are ready. And I don't know, it's weird. It's been quite quiet, and I think it's been quite quiet because of the taxi strikes. But I haven't heard any buzz. I was in the township the other day having my usual township tours, but I didn't hear any vibes about it. But I have a lot of views on this thing, and a lot of people disagree with my views. A lot of people agree with my views, but it's none of my business what people think.
Let's just talk about your views, because I think you've been very, very open, as you always are, about massive social issues. And you've had quite a lot to say about what you've seen taking place. Why don't you just give us the précis, and then people can always go and watch your stuff, because it's still on social media and on YouTube and on Instagram and everywhere else. But tell us what basically is getting a lot of people excited about what you said.
I think I'm so simple, man. I don't know. I'm not as smart as you, Gareth, but I'm pretty simple when it comes to when I stole cookies from the cookie jar. My mother moved me. Straight. You know what I mean? It didn't matter if I stole half a cookie or a quarter of a cookie. I still got moved.
Yeah. Your mother, God bless her.
My views are.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
She did what she had to do. And for me, I feel like Cyril acted too late. I think he acted way too late. I think he should have put cameras out, got police grabbing looters and fucking them up. Absolutely, categorically. I'm not even mixing my words about that. And they had to learn that you do this, you get fucked up. Now, ironically, I have a few friends of mine who've been calling me going, no, you are asking for black people to be. No, I'm not asking for black people to be hurt. I'm asking for criminals to be hurt. They're criminals. They're flipping criminals. I don't give a fuck. And people are liking to talk about people are hungry. Yes, people are hungry, but people don't eat TVs. People don't eat fucking TVs. You know what I mean? And that's what's irritating me. So for me, there's been sad footage of people stealing food and old people. Like, that has hurt me, guys. And that's really had me in a bit of it's been a difficult one, because to seeing a mama who's my mother's age stealing a loaf of bread, that got me. But can I tell you the saddest part about this whole thing for me? Apart from that, my saddest part about this whole thing is, I always knew the country was going to burn. And I always knew the poor were going to burn the country. But I always hoped it was to burn it against the ANC. Was to go, we've had enough. We are hungry, we are starving, you fucked up, let us burn it. But unfortunately, I think the ANC have got away with it again. Because you can see what's happening online now. The view is anti-Indian, anti-white. Yes, there's been Indians who have been using guns to kill black people. Yes, the racists, they must go down as hard. The white people who have been racist and shoot, they must go down hard. But let us not forget that the failure of the ANC brought us to this position, right? And this has been bubbling, and my mother's been telling me this since Mandela got out of jail, my friend. Trust me. When I was a little 6-year-old, my mother was like, "Woo, Kak is coming." My mother used to go. My mother's been preparing me this for years. But unfortunately, it didn't go the way I thought it would. I thought it would be people revolting against the ANC, right? And unfortunately, it hasn't. And unfortunately, by the looks of it online and stuff, I think they've gotten away with it again.
Well, I see some silver linings here, and I've said as much all week on the show, and I've said so in my blog and so on. There are communities that are standing together. I see the taxi business, which we usually have nothing but horrible things to say about. They're protecting people, they're protecting property, they're protecting shopping malls, because they realize, like, that's their bread and butter. If shopping malls burn down, who are they going to be taking to the shopping malls in their taxis? You know, they think a little bit ahead of a lot of these looters. And there's such short-sightedness. Leigh-Ann was telling us about her 3 favorite videos this week. The first one was this policewoman who's throwing stuff out of the boot and saying, this is what I left my kids for, this shit. And that's right, to sort this stuff out. And the other one was the what was the second one, Leigh-Ann? It was
he was an, I think, SANDF or police guy who cornered one particular person and said, now what do you have a grandmother, and what is she going to do for her chronic medication tomorrow?
Right. There's such short-sightedness, but what I see that I love is communities standing together, is people from all walks of life coming together to protect neighborhoods, to protect business.
This is not a race thing or an ethnic thing we can't categorize this. If we want to categorize this, then we need to categorize it as short-sighted people versus long-term people who can see into the future.
To me, the best part is that obviously all of that is a distraction. All of those people are talking about Zuma, and they're talking about, Black and Indian violence in Phoenix, and it's all a distraction because that's not the main story. That's not the main story. We mustn't allow people to distract us. But I love, Siv, you always get so emotional about this shit, and then you say things on your social media, and people get angry with you, like it's your fault, like you're the one who's going out causing the trouble.
Listen here, Gareth Cliff. I'm not short-sighted enough not to know that one day they will realize how great I am. For now, for now, they don't see me, man. See the men behind me? Can you see the men behind me? They all had people telling them.
Right.
They all had people telling them that they all had people on their asses like this. It's fine. These are the people behind me backing me, man. I know that ethically, what I say, I believe. And I will go down as one of the greatest South Africans ever. I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. I will speak my truth, my friend. I will speak my truth. I don't care what people think. At the end of the day, Gareth, you know what, my friend? You and I have people attacking us continuously. So what? You know what I mean? I believe people should have got fucked up. And I think we wouldn't be where we are today.
So I want to hear what you think of this. Apparently, the premier of KZN, Sihle Zikalala, he apparently blixemed one of the looters, and people are loving this. And
wow.
He had to apologize afterwards, but people are saying yes. They're so sick to death of seeing all these guys getting away with everything, from the top politicians to these looters. And ordinary South Africans are sitting there going, this doesn't seem fair. So apparently Sihle Zikalala hit this guy, and now he's had to apologize. He must never apologize. He must not say so.
But he had.
You must never.
Guys, let me tell you how interesting South Africa is. So I write a tweet that says, wait a minute, ANC, you taught these people how to loot. Guess what the reply was? No, but we were taught by Jan van Riebeeck. I'm like, listen, yeah. So you know what I said? I said, try getting Jan van Riebeeck into flipping court. If you can get Jan van Riebeeck to court, I will go and suck his dick.
You do not fuck around. Now, speaking of sucking dick, what's the pole dancing thing all about? And where did this come from? My sister's a pole dancer. Let me just, not a pole dancer, but she does pole dancing for fitness. And you've been doing this stuff. Now, let me tell you, it is really difficult. You have to be extremely fit to do this stuff. You're basically lifting yourself, your entire body weight, and holding yourself to a pole by millimeters of skin. You need extraordinary gymnastic ability to do this. And I know you're a fit guy, but this is hard work, man. Why did you choose to do this?
I can give you the modest view. I can give you the arrogant view. I'm pretty amazing on the pole. I'm pretty amazing on the pole. And I look good on the pole. No, jokes aside, Gareth.
We got pictures. Let me just share the pictures. Here, this is Siv Ngesi.
Look at that
chocolate
ripple.
Wow.
Yes, I'm glad Nina Hasty isn't on the show this morning because she would be drooling.
Look at the flexibility.
Now,
look at that spready.
Let me just explain here that to people who are listening and not watching, Siv is basically, he's horizontal on the pole. So he's perpendicular to the pole. And he's holding onto it by his abs and his leg that is crossed over the other side of the pole, but he's stretched into like an L shape and he's touching his toes on both sides. That is something I couldn't do if I spent 3 years in training. This is phenomenal.
Gareth, you'd slide down like that oil they put outside ShopRite.
If you go to Pornhub,
yes,
there are categories for those moves.
Yes. It's called pole sport.
Yes. So I'm busy. I'm busy doing. In December, I went through quite a weird trying to reinvent and reevaluate what masculinity means to me. So I did things that were predominantly female. So I did ballet, pole dancing. I started drag, and I did a lot of things that were like, non-heterosexual, tough boy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I tried drag, and I was hooked, and I've been doing drag ever since. It's my thing. And then I told pole dancing.
This is Sivanna.
Look at her. Oh, look at that.
That's you would make an incredible looking woman, and I don't say that to many guys. You really do.
Look at her. And that was the first shoot. But then yes. Gareth, I fell in love with it. I won one international competition about 3 months ago, and I am going for nationals in a month's time. I'm trying to take it all the way to the top.
How many straight black men are in pole?
I'm the only one in the country, and we think African continent.
I have a client called, and I'll name here. I have a client called Dushko.
Dushko, yeah.
Wow, great name.
Dushko International. It's Russian in origin, but they're now based in Canada, and they provide pole dancing gear. So what you wear, and what you wear is really important because it needs to cover your nether regions in precarious positions. So they have specialized wear to wear on the pole, and I write blogs for them. And what is amazing is how pole is a sport, and you can win international competitions. These things are worldwide. There are pole dancers in every corner of the globe who really succeed at what they do. And you, Siv, are epitomizing through those photos that I've just seen what pole sport is.
So Gareth, listen to this. So I'm training now for a bodybuilding competition on the 18th of September, right? So I haven't touched a weight in like 7 months. I haven't gone to gym in 7 months. I've just been pole dancing. So my trainer's like, okay, you have to stop pole dancing. I said, nah, bro, I'm still pole dancing. I get back to gym. I'm picking up heavier weights than I picked up a year and a half ago when I was going for Men's Health.
Yeah.
He has no explanation. And I keep on going to him, it's pole dancing. Then he was like, oh, your core's so strong. I'm like, it's pole dancing.
But what has the reaction been to Sivanna, first of all, your drag personality, and what has the reaction been to the pole dancing? Because obviously you are the kind of person who you like a bit of negative attention, and I'm sure that there have been some very strange comments from men, first of all. Also, there are a lot of women who are confused by this. What have your general responses been, and what do you think of that?
I think to the homophobes, there's been a lot of homophobes. I say a lot, but it's quite a few more homophobes. I've just told them that I could still kick their asses in the face with the nails. You know what I mean? And they agree because they can see that I box very well and have five fights, and I'm pretty a vicious fighter. And a lot of the community has hit back at me as well. The LGBT+ community, because they say I'm taking people's work.
Jesus.
But I definitely feel like has been involved in getting a lot of drag onto the mainstream. A lot of my drag friends have been getting a lot of work, getting paid a lot more money, getting a lot of exposure. I'm not saying it's me. My drag mother and I have a makeup sponsor. We have a weave, a wig sponsor. We do weekly, every second week events that have been sold out. The drag artists are making more money at these events than any other events that they make. They're getting booked for jobs. So I'm not saying it's me. I'm not saying it's me at all. I'm not taking credit for that. I'm just saying it's just been, yeah.
Dude, it's so great that you are you're completely fearless, and I think that's what a lot of people both A, love, and B, hate about you. The ones who love it, you give their expression wings. You're enabling them because you're already a well-known personality. You're out there, you're in public, you're unashamed of your views. So you make it okay for them to be who they are, which is hugely important. And there are lots of people doing that work, but I think you're doing it. And then the ones who hate you, you're giving them something to talk about. So God bless you on both fronts.
I'm just telling you. I can the ones who hate me. 2021, 2020, and 2020 have been the busiest years of my life. It's been ridiculous. So keep on hating because I'm making that money. But I want to add one more thing about drag. Can I tell you the best moment about drag is when I called my mother. I called my mother while I was in drag. It's like, oh, cool. Where's my son? She says. I said, hey, Mom, it's me. And for 3 weeks, she had me as her profile picture. Now,
oh, man.
My mother doesn't support drag. My mother is grew up in the townships, grew up poor, whatever. But I realized that my mother doesn't support drag. My mother supports me. Do you know what I mean? And anything I do. So even in the family WhatsApp group, they send pictures of pole dancers and stuff. They're like, "Oh, pole dancing! Hey, my baby! You put this hair to my baby." and I realized the core of why I am who I am is because of her. She, you know what I mean? It's just those fundamentals, you know? Like sometimes she messages me and she goes, my baby, you must talk less against Zuma. Oh, those people are dangerous. And as cliche as this may sound, guys, I would rather go down speaking the truth. If I get attacked by a mob, I won't change my views because I'm getting beaten. I won't. Right. All I can tell you one thing is that I'll throw swings left, right, and center, and I promise you I'll knock out a few of them, but they may kill me, but they will feel my wrath. And that's how I live life. You know what I mean? A lot of people will disagree, but at the end of the day, for me, this whole looting thing has hurt me deeply. And I know it sounds like the most cliche thing. It's hurt me deeply because for me, I have friends who've lost everything. When I say everything, I mean everything.
Yeah.
A friend of mine has to drive his mother out of Durban to Cape Town. I had to hustle 20 liters of petrol so you can get out of KZN, just to be able to get out of there. That's not normal. That's not normal. So I think for me, we're such a resilient country that it's bad. We're so divided that we'll never be united against this evil that we have to take out. The ANC has to go. They have to go as soon as possible. I don't give a fuck what color you are. And now it becomes a race thing when it isn't a race thing. Yes, there's inequality. Yes, people are angry. Yes, we have issues. But what happened is not right. And for me, sometimes I escape with jumping on a pole for an hour. Hey, sometimes I put on makeup. Hey,
some very good comments here. Tracy calls it Cirque du Siv instead of Cirque du Siv. Very, very nice. Women probably want to be on your pole, says Ruth. Oh, yeah.
Ooh.
I wish that wasn't. I wish they wanted to be on my pole when I was 16 as much as they want now. But where were they when they had pimples all over my face? Where were they? Now look at them. They want to jump on the pole now.
Listen, you've spoken an enormous amount of truth this morning. I always think there are very few people I know in the world who are absolutely free. And freedom is such a powerful thing. Like it is the most valuable thing you could ever have. You know, there's a reason why whenever we see Nelson Mandela, the word freedom isn't far behind. It's because when you are free, you can live in the most extraordinary, empowering, powerful way. And you are one of the freest people I know. Like freedom is not cheap. It is not for free. And you have to fight for it every single day. And you're going to get into trouble. And people are going to call you names. and all of that stuff. But the price, that price that you pay, which is small in comparison to the value you get back in return for freedom, that stuff is just, it's the only way that you really should ever have to live. And once you've tasted it, you don't want to live any other way. And you live that life, man. That's why I'm blown away by everything that you do.
I always say to people, I said to my friends in relationships, I'm like, guys, you're in relationships, you're happy, but hey, I'm happier because I'm free.
So before you go, Siv, one thing I've always loved about Siv is there is only one discipline in life, and it is called freedom is only achieved through discipline, right? And what I've always loved about Siv is his discipline. And Siv lives out what the great Eliud Kipchoge said, the greatest marathon runner of all time. He says,
this guy,
only those that are disciplined are free. The rest of you are not free. You are slaves to your desires and your whims. And Siv does what he has to do. And there is only freedom and discipline. And you epitomize that, dude. And you're inspiring millions. And it's an awesome thing. It's really awesome.
I love that.
Amazing rugby player, amazing actor, incredibly successful personality. No, hang on. And then also add to that.
Xhosa, you must add Xhosa. Why didn't you say Xhosa?
Number one.
Now also pole dancer and drag artist. There couldn't be a more varied CV if you tried.
Guys, no, it's been a pleasure. Always a pleasure to chat to you guys. Let's hear. You know what, Cliff? We want the best for this country. And I said it yesterday. I said, as long as the end destination is a better South Africa, swear at me, call me a coconut, call me everything you want, call me anything. As long as what you want is a better South Africa, then we can just walk on the street and just be go ahead, bruh. Me and you had a conversation in New York City a little while ago, and we looked at this and we're like, wow, this place is amazing. And I think a part of us still wants this place to be better and to be able to live up to the potential that it has. Have I been thinking of leaving? More than you've ever imagined. I've never wanted to leave. And is it because I've been stuck in this country for a year and a half? Is it that? Or is it that because I'm like, yeah, shit is real? But I'm staying behind and we're fighting.
Yeah, we've got a fight on our hands. And you know what? It's a good fight to be involved in. It gives us purpose. Thank you, dude. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Brad. Someone please write that saying on my Instagram or something so I can I wanna share it.
I'll send it to you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, all right, cool. Very nice. Very, very nice. There's Siv Ngesi. We love that guy.
Wow.
Yeah, he's wild.
What do you think of those moves, Leigh-Ann? You see that guy on the pole?
Man, no, it's too much, honestly. Wow, it's amazing. What did he call himself? A chocolate ripple?
Well,
he's delightful, honestly.
Someone in the comments said, he's holding onto that pole. Hermine, she says he's holding onto the pole with his butt cheeks. That's pretty amazing in that one picture. He is. Yeah.
In the one, yeah.
Pretty wild. And Dogozo says, oh yeah, I used to see Siv at the gym. Dude is a beast, but also a screamer. Ha ha ha.
There's a joke in that about sweaters and jumpers.
He's a good symbol of what happens when human beings try, you know?
Yes.
Like if you try hard and do it for a while.
But you know, like I'm super conservative in my interests and my hobbies and the things that I like in life. I'm not like an out there kind of person. Like there's no part of me that wants to be a pole dancer or ever wanted to dress and drag or any of that shit. I look at Siv and I'm thinking, well, he probably didn't want those things either, but he looked at them and thought, there's a challenge that I'm going to take up, and he does them. It's just phenomenal.
And he does them like well.
Well, he wins.
You only get one trip around the.
He does things and he wins them. He doesn't just do them. He's not like just expressing himself. It's not like Siv trying to discover parts of himself that he hasn't discovered before. And wow, look at me. He's doing it to win. He enters competitions in pole. He enters drag competitions. He doesn't just do it for shits and giggles. He wins.
Yeah, if I could have an ounce of that motivation, honestly.
Listen, you know, discipline crystallizes things. It's very, very clear. Is you only get one trip. You probably have 50 great years in life, and then 30 you cling on. So, like, give it a bash. You've got to give it a bash. And you only go around once. I don't care how many Christians or Hare Krishna or how many Sagittariuses are going to tell you come back as a cockroach next life. You get one trip.
Yeah.
Give it a proper go. And I love that about Siv. I love it.
Lots of comments about exactly that. People just love having him on, saying we need to get him more often.
He's amazing.
We'll talk to him more often. We are going to be joined by George Meany in a little while, which is going to be cool.
Oh, we haven't seen him in a bit.
That's right. We'll catch up with George just now. Leigh-Ann, someone says it looks like you have a snake on your shoulder.
It's when I had my scarf around like that.
Yeah. Boa
I
constrictor,
wish it would be an extra thing to add to my collection. I love snakes. Absolutely love them. Yeah.
Ugh, not me.
Yeah, I know you don't. You're not a reptilian fan.
Can I tell you guys what happened to me last week? I ordered. See, I wanted to get. My parents have got this one dog, this one lonely Jack Russell that's left off after all the others have died.
After Miles died.
Miles died, and like my sister and her dog used to be around a lot, but now she's also got her own place with her boyfriend. So it's this one little Jack Russell on its own. So I wanted to buy them a puppy. So I went online and I found this very reputable looking website, and I was ready to buy this dog. And I told my sister about it. She said, "Good idea, surprise them." And it was all very exciting. I found the cutest little puppy. I mean, the pictures anyway were cute. It was a total scam. I've lost I don't know, it's like 13,000 Rand that's just gone.
What?
Yeah. So it's a scam. It's this dude who sets up these very real looking, presentable looking websites, and then it turns out to just be bullshit. They're no puppies. There's no and they make you fill out a form. I mean, I've got a contract here that I had to sign, and you have to explain like that you're going to look after the dog and that you've got a vet that lives nearby and blah blah blah. Because it's not just some adoption. And now I'm going to think of adopting from the SPCA rather, because I've been burnt pretty badly, and I've reported it to the bank, and it was like a bank account and everything. But this is so shit. There are people out there who are doing this, and just stealing people's money, basically.
I have so many. I could write a book on just what you've said in the last 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are those scams. But please my number one.
Do not buy these animals online. Just do not do it, because they don't exist in the first place. It's just someone stealing your fucking money.
But my number one lesson from all of this or thing that I'd like to raise, if it's a certain breed that you're looking for, perhaps Jack Russell, you can obtain quite high pedigree breeds from shelters. Take the ugliness of the word shelter out. You have dogs, people who've had to move countries, people who've died, who are harboring these highly bred animals. If that's what you're looking for, is a good breed. And when I say good, most breeds are actually bad, by the way. But anyway, let me not get into that. But please do open your mind to the fact that you can find highly bred animals beyond a breeder.
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, if you are going to go to a breeder, make sure it's a registered one. And there's lots that I can tell you about this experience, which will help people. But don't buy anything in terms of puppies or kittens or any of that shit online. Just don't do it. You might be able to buy a t-shirt from Take a Lot, or you might be able to buy a book from Amazon, but not animals. So just something I learned. So don't let this happen to you, basically. Anyway, that was just something I thought I'd throw in quickly. Here's something from Leigh-Ann, and I'm going to bring this on while we bring George on. I wanted to share that I'm such a fan of George and the Auto Central podcast. I used his company as a case study on my MDP assignment.
Wow.
I'd like to thank George for inspiring me. Isn't that nice? That just came through now from Leigh-Ann. How's it, George?
Hey, Gareth. Thank you, Lindy. That just made my Friday, besides being with the Cliff Central team.
Well, it's nice to see you, dude. I'm very sorry to hear about your dad. I mean, that's this is just, it's such a shit time, and there's so many people who are going through what you've gone through. But just from our side, you're part of our family. Condolences.
Thank you, Gareth. I appreciate it. My dad was a giant of a man, and even at the age of 76, I feel like his life was taken early.
Well, I mean, he's bound to have been, because I can't imagine you coming from some backward semi-achievement. I just can't see that happen.
George, sorry, before we get going, I have to tell you, my cousin said some things which can't be said even in R18 movies about you. So shout out to you for being the most handsome man in the world and being an inspiration. But she said you're maybe the best looking, verbatim, you're definitely the best looking white guy in the world. Her words.
It's the camera. It's the camera.
So, George, we've got lots to catch up on since we missed out on seeing you last week. What have you got on the agenda for us this morning? We've got a good 15 minutes with you. Give us the lowdown.
Lovely. So I don't know if you saw the news article, but it is now illegal to purchase petrol at a filling station and put it into a container. So the Department of Resources and Energy has announced the regulation that it is now illegal for motorists to purchase petroleum products in containers. It was gazetted on Thursday the 15th. Now, that brings about a whole bunch of complexities because while you don't necessarily fill up your container to take it to your car to fill up your car, and I bet you that they're doing this because, they're trying to stop things like petrol bombs or maybe the lack of fuel. I don't know. But it creates problems for me and people like me that have other activities like flying airplanes, riding quad bikes, riding
mowing the lawn.
Mowing the lawn, exactly. So now, what do you need to do? You need to siphon the petrol out of your car. That's stupid.
Okay, but let me ask you this: is this only a temporary measure, maybe because people have been doing stupid shit like putting petrol into checkers bags? We know that this was even happening in America during those riots and in parts of the country. So people fill up like a checkers bag with petrol, and then they have a ciggy, and then the whole thing blows up, and they turn into a human torch. That's the stupid stuff they're obviously trying to prevent. And they're also trying to prevent panic buying, where people are filling up huge containers and then driving off with them. If you have a huge petrol container, you're basically driving with a bomb on the back of your car or bakkie that just needs some spark and it ignites. And then there's huge shit to pay. So that's obviously the reason they're doing it. Do you think they're going to stop this, though, after all this craziness has been arrested?
They could very well, because the website that laid out these regulations does say it's in the interest of public safety in relation to the ongoing unrest. So you're absolutely right. And it's the right thing to do for that reason. But when they write these laws, they should really qualify it, because there are responsible people in the world that do fill up jerry cans or petrol cans in the right way to do the things that they do in their lives.
Well, then, I mean, let's draw that distinction. But, again, the law has to apply equally to everyone. So if during this time we have to find other ways of doing what we used to do, then that's probably acceptable. I don't think anyone's looking at it going, well, you can never, ever get away with this kind of thing. Right now, people's safety is probably a priority. But I hear you, George.
I think that's a fair argument, but I have a problem, Gareth. Yeah. I can't siphon fuel out of my electric car.
Nah.
but
third
George,
world, first world problems, yeah?
Yeah. Is there any sort of clause for, like, what if a 21-year-old au pair is stuck with someone's 6-year-old on the highway at 6:00 at night?
Well, I suppose that's to Gareth's point. The law has to apply equally to everybody.
That's the nice thing about Mbulelo. He's always looking out for the upper classes.
No, what do you expect me to do? Raise my own kids? Get the bloody hell out of here! I got a brunch in the morning.
You could honestly, if you were like a garden service or something like that, you could pester the petrol station every 7 minutes by coming up with your empty weed eater or your empty lawnmower, until eventually they'll be like, geez, just take a can.
Government love making rules. So you don't like the violence that is perpetrated by a section of the community because they're criminals. So you ban guns. You don't like tires on cars because they could be used to block roads. So you ban tires. I mean, you can't ban things. Government has got to get their head out of their ass at some point. I'm not a fan of any of these rules. You know that. And then here's a good point being made by Gareth. He says, no fuel for generators during load shedding? Question mark.
Good point.
Oh, such a great point.
Right. And how many people bought generators so that they wouldn't have problems thinking, oh, I can always get fuel.
Man.
No.
Wow.
You're going to have to siphon it out of your car, Gareth, unfortunately.
All
If
right.
you drive a diesel, well, that's an even bigger problem. So remember we spoke a while ago about the pothole brigade, or the pothole patrol, as they called themselves. And led by Dial Direct and Discovery. And Gareth, you commended them on getting involved in fixing these potholes. Well, they have fixed 10,000 potholes since May 2021.
Wow.
Or should I say road defects? 2,500 potholes. They've fixed about 10,000
Good for
road.
them. Again, I can't say enough good things about people who are doing things like that and companies that are doing it. Will you please all shut up about white monopoly capital until you fix 10,000 potholes? Then I'll take you seriously.
So good on Discovery and Dial Direct. I think they're doing a brilliant job there. And then here's an interesting story, Gareth. And let me lead you into the story first, and then give you the punchline at the end. There was a woman who ran 49 traffic lights and had one speeding violation in China. Now, the story isn't important in relation to the speeding violation. So what this woman did was she wasn't very happy about being dumped by her boyfriend, who was an Audi owner.
Oh, okay.
So to exact revenge, this lady by the name of Lou allegedly, and I don't know why they always put that word allegedly, enlisted the help of a man named Chen, who rented...
Sounds like a Mortal Kombat character.
Liu Chen. Who rented Quinn. Quinn was her now ex-boyfriend's car, who rented Quinn's Audi for an unspecified period of time. Chen then gave the car to another man named Zhu. Liu Chen Zhu.
Liu Chen Quinn Zhu. Let's just keep track here. Liu Chen Quinn Zhu, okay?
Liu Chen Quinn Zhu. And then the police determined that this Mr. Zhu was responsible for the crime spree. But it turns out that Zhu had a long-term romantic interest in Lou, and Lou agreed to go on dates with him if he drove the car like he stole it.
Okay, so
drive it like he stole it.
So Liu Chen Quinn Zhu Lu. That's how it works.
Exactly.
And the Zulus heard Zhu and Lu at the end of that and went, "Oh, the violence is over."
We are everywhere. We are international. We are international.
Inside.
International. This was This only happens in China. The story doesn't tell us with who got arrested, but I'm pretty sure that if the laws are anything similar to South Africa, the driver of the car is responsible, not the car owner.
Yeah, please, can you keep your relationship makeups and breakups to yourself? Do not make yourself a public nuisance. You remember we had that story not so long ago, that person who drove into a restaurant with their car because their girlfriend had broken up with them and she was having supper there or something. Stop it. Nobody cares about your relationship. No one. Do not make yourself a public nuisance, Liu Chen, Quinn, Zhu, or Lu, because you've got a problem.
Yeah, if you are a Lou,
sort that shit out in your own time and in your own space. Stop fucking with the rest of us. We are not interested in your romantic ups and downs. Fuck off.
And will all the Lou's just stay away from the zoos, and we can sort up this whole mess?
Because it's international.
Right on.
And then very lastly, Gareth, the science of the new car smell. So I don't know. We've spoken about this before, but the new car smell actually comes from the plastics and the leathers and the way the sun extracts those smells out of those different materials within the car.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe what people didn't know was that the new car smell is actually a researched thing, and OEMs get companies to do what's called an IQS, an initial quality survey.
Hold on. Just OEMs?
original equipment manufacturers, the guys that actually design and make the cars.
And IQS's?
Initial Quality Survey.
Thank you.
Okay.
Get all corporate. Don't get corporate speak on us on a Friday morning, George.
No, the least corporate person on the planet is me. So one of the metrics in this initial quality survey is the new car smell.
Yeah.
And it goes, so the original equipment manufacturers want to know whether the smell, from a consumer perspective, will put the consumer off or not put the consumer off, or be pleasant. I mean, I don't know if you've ever climbed in an elevator or lift. I avoid lifts nowadays because of the coronavirus, but climbed in a lift and you get the whiff of somebody's really terrible smelling cologne or perfume.
No, farts. Usually it's farts.
It gets into like the back of your brain. It's horrible.
Farts are the problem in lifts because people fart and then
they come on, Gareth. But you know what? That
get out of the lift and then you get in not knowing that it's just been vacated by a farter and you have to you stuck with that fart for like 3 floors.
I dated someone who had the most disgusting level of hygiene in his car.
Yeah.
It was permanently filthy and you could scrape the dirt from the bottom. And one day I thought I'd surprise him and I took it for a car wash, like the full treatment.
Sure.
He was so upset because of the smell of the new, they spray that stuff onto your dashboard and things. He was so upset with me because of that new smell. So people are sensitive about this stuff.
Yeah, and we spoke about the fact that Chinese people don't like the new car smell. So cars in China, they actually try and get rid of the new car smell.
Maybe that's what Zoo did to Lou's car, and that's you know what I mean. That's
I just
and now it's all about faction violence.
Yeah, now the triads are in.
I want to know which one of those assholes works for the Chinese government and released the Wuhan flu on the rest of us, and then we can get back our year and a half.
No.
No, don't accuse a Zoo of a Wu issue. That's a Wu issue.
I'm sorry. I am finishing the show on a powerful and high note today. China must pay. And this is how I want to finish this week. It's been a hectic week.
One extra video from me, losing video, was an Afrikaans guy who was doing the filming. And there are members of the community who've now stepped in on these streets that are covered in filth and plastic bags and debris and are cleaning it up themselves so that they can start rebuilding. And the guy who's filming says, You, where did you get these buckets? Where did you get the brooms? Did someone give them to you? And the guy pulls down his mask, a black guy, and says, actually, sir, I'm a concerned member of society. I'm just serving my community, and I've brought my own broom, and I'm sweeping up so that we can start rebuilding.
Magic. Yeah, you see, don't judge a book by its cover. You've learned that today from Siv Ngesi. You've learned it from George. You've learned it from Leigh-Ann, and you've learned it from Mbulelo and I. So we will see you on Monday. Have a happy weekend, everybody. Be good. Nice to see you again, George. We will see you on Monday. Don't miss out on Auto Central. And also subscribe if you haven't yet, because Mbulelo is launching a big, new, exciting chapter in the Cliff Central Sports Story on Monday. Make sure you get on there and do it ASAP. Don't say I didn't warn you. All right. Happy weekend, everyone. Keep warm. Stay safe. Stay home.